Maria Jacobson, the founder of the Bird's Nest Orphanage, was a formidable woman. She dedicated her life to looking after orphans. She was indeed a brave woman as well. Brave, yes, because as a young nurse, she lived in this charming little town called Horsens, some 50 kilometers south of Aarhus in Denmark. And then, on hearing news of the Christian Armenians being massacred by the Turks, she left her comfortable home, her sheltered life, her beautiful and comfortable life, and traveled halfway across the globe alone and went into the wilderness of eastern Anatolia in Turkey, the epicenter of the massacre. This was at a time when women didn't travel alone, let alone a young nurse, at the turn of last century. And it was there that she began to gather her orphans. And there she was, standing right in front of me in the sunset on my first day of the orphanage and looking at me with a deep and unassuming smile, as if she knew me all her life. There was a kind of familiarity about her, radiating out of her this wonderful smile. I looked up at her and could see that she was not native, neither Armenian nor Lebanese. She was a foreigner with foreign complexions, with silver hair and wearing glasses, circular glasses, just like me. Maybe that's why I wear them. Her hands were not sunburned or scratched like or the fingernails. Her fingernails were not black like the woman in the refugee camp scavenging the rubbish dump. And none of the buttons in front of her long dress were missing. So I knew she was not local, but in spirit she was one of us. She squatted down to my eye level and continued smiling with that sweet, yet with that all too enigmatic, poignant, and sad smile. We looked at each other like that in silence and said nothing really for a few minutes. I mean, can you imagine? A few minutes is a long time to be looking into the eyes of someone you had only just met. But still, she instantly filled me with a sense of belonging, with a glorious sense of being loved. I was as if in the seat of her very spirit, so close I felt. I was so overwhelmed with a feeling of her tenderness that I felt the urge to cry again, but didn't. Instead, she started visibly to weep, her eyes glistening with crystal drops of tears. Then she spoke, and to my surprise, she spoke Armenian, but with a strong Danish accent. She had made a great deal of effort to learn to speak my mother tongue. I can't paraphrase what she actually said, but she held my face in the cup of her hands and said, "You are here for a purpose. You will grow like a tree growing by a clear stream. You will sit among righteous assemblies and have counsel with them. You will become an ambassador and report what it's like to be an orphan. You have the spirit of the divine friend. He resides in you. He will write the signpost of your journey through life. In time, you will grow to become him and help others to honor the sanctity of human life." Then she stopped speaking and her weeping overcame her. Although the content of what she actually said was beyond my age, but I heard every single word which was perfectly clear to me. I knew that I had begun an important journey. Here I was. Here we were, she, a woman of about 50, and I, a boy of about 5, chained together in a universal bond that will never, never be broken. I know. I know whenever I'm conducting a symphony orchestra in whichever part of the world I am, I always have her with me. She's guiding me, and never take my thoughts away from the divine friend who, she said, resides in me. Soon, of course, I was integrated into the way of Bert's life, doing what other children did, taking part in falling asleep during worship time. But what I like doing best was singing in the children choir in the chapel which Maria Jacobson enrolled me in. I simply loved singing the hymns. You know, all the famous Christmas hymns were translated into Armenian, and I used to sing on top of my voice, Ishran Chararutyan, Ishran Chararutyan, Ishran Chararutyan. I used to love those songs, those hymns. But I was almost affected, mostly affected by the solitude of the stone boundary wall, by the open sea. Alice and I often sat there alone, gazing at the sea, at the city's light beyond the great bay, and watched Mr. Hassan fish in his little boat with an oil lantern and his harpoon. He always rowed out to sea at sunset, and he looked like beautifully glowing silver gold figure. There is fire again in the sea, Alice said once again, whenever we saw a shoal of red fish flashing in the lapping of the small waves on the shore. One evening I said to her, I'm going to go to the city, you know. Alice looked at me and said, you never. She said in a quite dismissed, unbelieving way. One of the big boys ran away to the city a long time ago, and then they killed him, you know. Come, let's get back, she said. The bell. It was sounding again, the bell of the evening wash. And this is the end of this episode. Don't forget to subscribe and to listen to the following episode. And don't forget to click the bell icon to be informed. Thank you.